The structure I'm going to talk about is the St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin, Ireland. The reason behind me choosing this historic structure was to find out how it ended up still standing today with no government and state assistance and funding. To start things off, I'm going to go over the origin of the cathedral and how it came to be. The cathedral has existed for around 800 years, and throughout those years, it has been an important site for people to make pilgrimage to and the locals to worship. It was built between the years 1191 and 1270. St. Patrick's Cathedral was first originally a Celtic parish church dedicated to St. Patrick. The archbishop at the time, whose name is John Corman, promoted the church out of the 6 parish churches to that of a collegiate, a church devoted to both learning and worship. Throughout its history, the cathedral has been through a lot. An example of what it went through would be when the king at the time demonstrated his power by demoting the church back to a parish church. The reason for this is unknown. And later on, over the centuries, at a later date, it was reinstated to the status of cathedral by one of the new archbishops. Like its neighboring church, St. Patrick's suffered over time. For over all those years, the weather, the fires, the storms, all of them affected the building differently, but the end result was the same. Structural damage. The choir room in the church started to crumble, deteriorate over time. And also the maintenance of the church. The building would have harsh storms, damaging the structure along with fires caused by the storms or other disasters. But another reason for damage to the building would be when a man visited Ireland, bringing along with him his army on his conquest. And when he was on his conquest, he used the church as a place to house his troops and their horses. This man's name is Oliver Cromwell. Now I'll get back to how he's relevant in the next section. With all those elements affecting the cathedral's structure, I am now going to talk about what kept the cathedral functional over the years. In the year 1225, on the order of King Henry III, the collection of donations made towards the church were authorized in the span of 4 years, which allowed for some reparations to be held on the church's grounds. Now fast forward to 1555, when a charter was put into place by 2 monarchs, Philip and Mary, that restored the cathedral's privileges and began its restoration process. Now, a century later, Oliver Cromwell, long his conquest, deterred those efforts of restoration and renovation by damaging the church. Along with those damages, the Lady Chapel was also in ruins. And the church also suffered from consistent flooding due to weak structural integrity. Now we're going to fast forward through the time to the 1860s, where Benjamin Guinness, who was the manufacturer of alcohol, is where the alcohol beverage Guinness comes from, donated a large sum of money to the cathedral because he feared that since no one was putting in the effort to help the church survive time, it would crumble and be destroyed and forgotten, like many of the other historic landmarks over time. And during this massive reconstruction, over the years, it piqued the interest of foreign countries and its own citizens. Now, with this interest came a steady influx of people from all around the world. And because of this influx, the church started to receive more and more donations to keep up with the maintenance of having such a structurally a building that needs repairs consistently. When the majority of the repairs were done, the building was restored to its beautiful medieval glory. And for this next part, we had to find 2 works that related to the cathedral. I could only find one in the chapters from what I looked. And this is the one that helped me decide how to pick this project. And this work is from one of the chapters in our work, chapter 7, on deities and places of worship, and is called the Ziggurat of Ur. Like the cathedral, it was also under construction for a long time. The ziggurat was also built by Sumerians to honor their deity, similar to how the Irish worshipped Saint Patrick. The people of Ur would go to this temple to seek spiritual and physical needs, same as to the beliefs of the church in Ireland, where they would go to pray. And with that, I hope you take from this how this beautiful medieval work of art withstood the years and centuries of hardship. Thank you.